Hello, sweet scientists. We have been learning a lot about plants lately, the parts of the plant and the functions of the different parts of the plant. Today, we're going to learn how plants make more of themselves. It's called pollination. And we are going to start with a book from Epic Books. I love Epic Books. They have a whole lot of books on there about plants that you could read. So, we are going to read about plants today. Now, here is our table of contents, and the table of contents shows us what page we're going to find things on. So let's start reading with teamwork. Teamwork is our heading. It's the name of our chapter. I'm trying to make it a little bigger, but it's not working. Muscle and bone, fish and water, milk and cookies. Some of the best things in life depend on each other. Wow, milk and cookies might not depend on each other, but most plants and a lot of insects do. They need each other to survive. Our caption here at the bottom says insects seek pollen in flowers. Some, like the Venus flytrap, trick the bugs and eat them. Have you ever seen the Venus flytrap before? Big job. More than 90% of all plants need a pollinator. What's that word? Let's keep reading. New plants don't just decide to grow one day. They need help to get things started. That is where the insects come in. Wind and water help too. They make it possible for most plants to grow new plants. What do you think a pollinator is? Can we use our context clues? It says more than 90% of plants need a pollinator. Maybe a pollinator is something that helps it pollinate. Pollination. Our light bulb here says each beehive has a queen bee. She is the mother of all the other bees. Self or cross. A plant can pollinate itself. Cool. This is called self-fertilization because it's fertilizing itself. It can also pollinate another plant with the help of insects, animals, wind, and water. That's called cross-fertilization. Cross because it's crossing over to another plant. Insects, wind, and water help plants. They do this through pollination. That is how they carry pollen from plant to plant. This starts the process that allows new plants to grow. So insects, wind, and water help pollinate. Some people are allergic to pollen. I kind of am. When there is a lot of new flower pollen, they might sneeze and sneeze and sneeze. I do. You should hear Mr. Peters sneeze. It sounds like I don't know, drum or something. Achoo! So here's another diagram. Remember, diagrams show parts. This is an anther. This is the stamen. And the pollen on the dust, the pollen is the dust on the anther. So that's the pollen right there. Pollen is a dust. It is found at the end of a flower's stamens, which are right here. Stamens are long and thin. They make the pollen. On the end of each stamen is an anther. The anther holds the pollen. So the stamen is long and thin, and it makes the pollen, and the anther holds the pollen. Here's another diagram of a plant, all the different parts of the flower. To make a new plant, the pollen must reach the pistil, which is right here. The pistil is the female part of the plant. The stigma is at the top of the pistil, right here, where my little arrow is. The tube below it is the style, right here. And the ovary is at the base of the pistil. Sorry. The base means the bottom, right here. This is where the seeds are made. Lots to look at here. In many flowers, petals project the pistil. They surround it and they keep it safe. The stigma is sticky. Pollen can easily stick to it. Then it goes down the style and reaches the ovary. Right here it says pistils may look different, but they all have the same purpose. Cotton has tiny hairs instead of flowers. These hairs make the fabric we use for clothing. And cotton balls, right? Here's the stamen on a willow tree. One plant or two. Some plants, such as corn, have separate male and female parts on the same plant. Other plants, such as willow trees, have male and female parts on different plants. Help is on the way. Oh, I love those. Flowers, they're actually, when you blow them and they flutter away. I love those. Plants do not get up and move on their own. They have no way to move their pollen to make new plants. That's because the roots keep them in the ground, right? They need help. Insects, wind, and water give them the help they need. Pollen can be carried on an animal's fur. Ooh, look at that. Zzz. Pollen sticks to a bee's body. Right here, it's zoomed in, that yellow pollen. Pollen sticks to insects when they feed on flowers. They carry the pollen on them as they fly. Some of that pollen falls off, or it can be caught by the wind, or rain. Either way, the pollen's journey begins. And down here at the bottom, pollen grains. If you look at pollen through a microscope is that machine where it zooms in on small things. This is what you will see. You can tell by its spiky shape that a pollen grain can stick to things easily. So that's what pollen really looks like if you zoom in on it. Stamen, pistil, corny. Corn has separate male and female flowers. Its stamens are the corn tassels. Its pistils are the ears of corn that have not yet developed. And here's the seeds and the ovary of this. Looks like a melon. Fertilize. In a plant, the male cell fertilizes the female cell. Pollen is the male cell. The female cell is the ovary, and they make seeds together. Pollinators, there's that word we talked about at the beginning. Let's find out what they are. The helpers that carry the pollen are the pollinators. Their job is important. Without them, there would be no new plants. Bats, moths, and birds are also good pollinators. Wind and water help a lot too, but two types of living things are the biggest heroes. They are bees and butterflies. Did you know bees are heroes? Butterflies are so pretty. Good for them too. By helping plants, bees and butterflies also help themselves. They feed from the flowers. They need new plants to keep growing. So we all need plants. Here's about bees. Bees are some of the best pollinators. They have hairy bodies that trap pollen. They usually visit the same kind of flower. This keeps the pollen where it is needed. Their small size and short legs help bees get inside flowers too. Here's our beautiful butterflies. Butterflies have taste buds on their feet. What? Did you know that? Our taste buds are on our tongue. They taste things from their feet. So whatever they land on, that's what they're tasting. Can you imagine tasting through your feet? Walk around your house or outside and think that you had to taste all that stuff. Butterflies have taste buds on their feet. They also have a long tube-like tongue they use like a straw to suck up the liquid. Butterflies trap pollen on their bodies too. They walk around on groups of flowers, and this spreads the pollen. This helps spread the pollen. Nature's puzzle. Nature is like a puzzle. Each part of nature connects to an amazing whole. Pollination is like that. Plants, insects, wind, and water are parts of the puzzle, and nature needs every part. Okay, so here's a little experiment if you want to do it at home. What is inside of a flower? So you would need a butter knife, like a knife that's not like a steak knife, and a flower with stamens and pistil. And here's what to do. Look at the flower, look at all of its parts, have an adult help you find the stamens, touch them. What do you notice? Have an adult help you find the pistil. Carefully remove the pistil and cut it open with an adult. What do you see? So if this is an experiment that you would like to try, just pause it and then you'll have the directions right there. And that's the end of our book about pollination, how we need animals to pollinate plants. Here is our glossary, and this, remember, mini dictionary in the back of the books tells us what those bold vocabulary words mean. And here's an index that might be new for us. An index tells us what page number we can find things on. Kind of like the table of contents, but this tells us specifically where we can find information about these things. So an anther we can find on page 10 and 11. A bee, they talk about on page 9, 19, 23 through 24. See how that works? It's pretty cool. So if you want to go back and reread about butterflies, you don't have to read through the whole book. You could go to page 23 and 25. Okay? Later on, we're going to do a PowerPoint and we'll have a passage to read tomorrow. So you've learned all about how plants pollinate and what pollinators are.